Hello, Jon Mutchler here, pastor at the Ferndale Alliance Church. We are in my windy backyard with a few children playing back here, so we're going to do the best we can to record this video message today. Thank you so much for watching, and we're going to talk about anger and activists. Anger and activists. And we have been looking at anger the last few days based on the fact that the issue of anger is important to the founder of our faith, the founder of our religion, Jesus Christ. Let me just quickly read one verse that we have been looking at lately. It's Matthew chapter 5, verse 22, which says this: "But I tell you that anyone who is angry with his brother or sister, angry with his brother or sister, will be subject to judgment." So clearly anger is something that's important with Jesus Christ. And I have been thinking about angry people for the last couple weeks, people in my own circle of relationships, my community. But then I turn on the television set or watch a video, and it's not hard to find really angry people. And can we admit this together, that anger sells? I mean, what's going to lead the front page of the paper or the top of the news? You hear about a peaceful, quiet, cooperative, bipartisan meeting of leaders and politicians, or is it going to be the fight on the floor of the Senate or the House that breaks out into yelling and anger? You know what the answer is. People love to watch angry people. But I would like to challenge the idea that angry people are effective people. I am not so sure about that. Now, I certainly do not want to fuel people's anger, especially friends of mine. But I want to say this, that some of the angriest people that I know are self-proclaimed activists, or they're proclaimed activists by people on the television set or in their news. Now, I don't think I've ever sought an activist. I've never wanted an activist, though there are many causes and concerns that I am passionate about. What I'm looking for, and I honestly think what the world is looking for, is leaders. We're looking for leaders, not activists, or at least activists in the way that I've observed it and understand it. People who want the world to become a better place, who want to equip people to bring about positive change and results. People who are passionate about a better community, better nation, a better state, and a better world. And I think that there is a difference, at least as I have observed it. This is just my opinion, a difference between an activist and a leader. I've observed that young people, high school students, young college students, want to be activists, and they will just tell you that, or justice warrior is another word for it. And they aspire to that like other generations wanted to be like superheroes, and the activist is kind of the modern day superhero. They want to be like this young woman, this 16-year-old woman who was Time Magazine's Person of the Year, Greta Thunberg.
How dare you!
That's right, how dare I? But I've been thinking a lot about this in the era of COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, environmental and climate concerns, and any number of political, economic, and social issues that you could name and think of. And my conclusion is this: I am convinced that we need more leaders than we need activists. And so this is how I would like to contrast them. Again, if you consider yourself an activist, and I'm not describing you, I suspect I am more describing a leader. So here's how I would contrast a leader with an activist. And I believe in the future, when we look back on this period of time, those that we remember will be the leaders, not the activists. First of all, leaders are driven by passion, a passion that inspires and drives others to move ahead with them. Activists, it seems to me that they're driven by anger and sometimes hatred. Again, that's just my impression. Leaders, they are focused and they embrace a long-term vision in order to accomplish things. Activists, sometimes, often their causes change regularly, sort of the cause of the day. Sometimes it's the environment. Sometimes it's violence or racism, but they don't stick to one thing. They move from one cause to the next. Leaders have a way of moving people together, forward together, uniting people, attracting people to their vision. Activists, it seems like they divide and separate and alienate people with whom they disagree. Leaders, they're able to recruit people that are not always 100% in agreement with them. They have a larger tolerance for people that disagree, and they're able to have what I would call a big tent. Activists, sometimes they expect, it seems like, strict orthodoxy and very little tolerance for dissenting views. I remember one thing that President Reagan said. He said, if a person agrees with me 80% of the time, forget the 20%. We are friends and we can work together. Leaders are inclusive. Activists, let me just give you 2 words, okay? And you can look it up. Cancel culture. And if you are a person who said something slightly politically incorrect 35 years ago when you were a sophomore in high school and it got recorded or posted somewhere, you are toast in this age of cancel culture, which I think is ridiculous and stupid. You won't see leaders doing that. Leaders are looking for ways to include everybody. Leaders, they're positive, warm, caring, respectful. Activists, it seems to me, again, just my personal First Amendment opinion, they're bitter, resentful, and hateful. Leaders, they bring energy to their cause. Activists, their efforts are so often counterproductive because of the toxic energy they bring to their cause. Leaders, leaders celebrate success and progress, okay? Leaders look from behind, look from past history, and look forward, and they can recognize and celebrate progress and achievements and real victories. I've noticed that activists have a hard time conceding that there have been improvements, successes, and achievements. In fact, some activists will argue that things are worse than ever, even though the data, the research, and the evidence is compelling that we have as a nation and even as a world have come a long way in a number of realms of social injustices, whether it's racism or crime or the environment or poverty. The numbers are compelling. We have come a long, long way. Leaders celebrate those things. Activists, it seems to me, deny them. Leaders, they're affirming of people. Leaders affirm other people. It seems like activists just insult other people. I notice that leaders are self-reflective about their own shortcomings and mistakes and learn from them. Activists so often find someone else to blame. Leaders, they're humble. Activists, arrogant, they know it all. They're the only ones that have the right direction. I notice that leaders are happy to discuss and debate and argue and try to persuade those with whom they disagree. They see everybody as winnable, pretty much. Activists, they reject and they dismiss people as worthless. Leaders want to inspire people to bring about peaceful and effective change and genuine revolution. Leaders want to inspire people to bring about peaceful and effective change. Activists, it seems to me, cannot control their followers, and so often, just turn on the news, so often leave behind them a wake of injury, loss, and destruction. And I think with that lack of credibility too. I just grieve over some of our great cities that I love to visit: Seattle, Portland, Atlanta, on and on and on, to see what's going on there because of the misleading, I believe, of activists. Okay, so I've probably ticked off most of my activist friends, and if I am wrong about this, If this is not your style, this is not your heart, this is not your conviction, and you consider yourself an activist, then lead on. I would say you're probably more so are a leader. I want this country, this state, this community, this world to be a great place of opportunity and freedom and affluence for all. I'm really passionate about that, but I am not looking for an activist. I'm looking for leaders. And may I suggest to those of you that are the activists, start with anger. Anger turns me off. It turns off most people. And if you want a great example, watch every speech you can find of Dr. Martin Luther King. He was passionate, but he wasn't angry. Now, yes, there were things that made him mad, that made him upset, that made him angry, but that was not the dominant emotion that you saw in Dr. King. His dominant emotion was passion and love, driving him to inspire people, and he did, to be great and to overcome, to be overcomers, and to do better and to make a great nation. So thank you for watching and listening. Again, anger doesn't work with me. It doesn't work with most people. It might rile people up a little bit, but I think when the history books look back on us, our generation today, it's going to be the leaders that will be remembered in a positive way. Have a great week.